Ladies and gentlemen, filmmakers and all moviegoers alike, welcome to this week's episode of Critically Casual. I'm your host, Srekcuf5, and joining me as always is DorkyDev. Say hi, Dev.
Hello there.
Hello.
Hello there, Srekcuf5.
Oh, hello there, Dev. I just want some friends. Okay, so...
I just thought if I showed my face, I could make some friends.
Yeah, that's why I never stream, so I don't show my face. Alright, hi Dev, how are you doing today?
Doing alright.
That's good, that's good. You have anything you want to talk about before we start the stream? Or,
No, I'm good.
I
There's nothing to talk about. This is going to be a really short conversation, not much to talk about here. It's going to be very
Yeah, nothing special happened. There were no good movies this week. I called this week's episode 27 Years Apart. And what I mean by that is it's been 27 years since the original It. And now we have this It. And, whatever. It's It 2017. And then It Chapter 2 this week. Because, the new It movies, they're a thing. Yeah. So... with that being said, if there's nothing else we want to talk about before hopping in here. No?
No.
All right.
I got nothing.
All right. Sweet. We're just diving right on in. We're going to go deep down into these holes of sewage and see where they take us.
Woo!
Yay. All right. So, It Part 1, I guess, technically, but It made in 2017. Where do you want to start with this, Dev? There's a lot to talk about in this. Just this one alone.
Holy shit, this is the probably on the show going to be my, for modern horror that we've seen on this show, it's at least in the top 3.
In the top 3, really?
If not top 1.
Okay.
Mind you, the other ones that it has to compete with is Us and Get Out. I think it's probably, for me, better than Us, but it and Get Out kind of...
I could see that. I could really see
that. But also, it's very up my style of horror.
Mm-hmm.
Because this film starts, and the rest of the film, you're clenching your goddamn butt cheeks together because of the tension this film has.
Mm-hmm.
The entire time. Like, there's not you don't breathe. Like, there's funny moments to try to raise some levity, but even then you're like,
I'm still gonna die.
Kinda, yeah. And personally, it's the perfect balance of for a tension-driven, funny horror.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect balance for that.
Mm-hmm. A lot of it ultimately has to do in this first movie with the cast. Like,
oh my god, it's so perfectly casted.
So much so. The only part that I thought that might have been a little off at first was the casting for Stan, but then I fell for him. He was cute. It was joy. It was adorable. And
they all do so well.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I see why Jack Dylan Grazer was cast into Shazam. Because, damn, this film alone, shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He knocks it out of the park, and then in the next one, he just keeps that ball rolling. And, this cast, they melt together so well.
They really do. They all just seem it really just feels like the troop of kids that all just fell in together just naturally, and they all have such a good, great, almost a perfect chemistry with each other.
Oh, I agree. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the movie's cute at times with how they interact with each other, but it definitely has those dreaded, twisted moments that really take it up there, and the horror that I love and the tension. It's just, I really enjoy this movie. There's a reason why I said that you were going to enjoy this movie. It's a good movie.
It didn't disappoint at all. I wasn't afraid it was going to disappoint, but I also was, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I was afraid it was going to be I was afraid of a lot of horror tropes.
Yes. I can see that.
Because it's kind of something we've been dealing with a lot with our horror films.
Mm-hmm. Which there might be one or two horror tropes in there, but it's not overloaded with them. Not like every single scare is a
well, and I don't mean by tropes in the sense of there's certain
where they just do it.
Yeah, there are certain beats that have to kind of happen, but they also go about it in a way that isn't just boo, scared you, boo, scared you. In the points that I think people probably had jump scares with, I didn't really jump, but it was one of those things that are ooh.
Yeah. There are definitely just moments where it gets weird and it's scary and I mean, don't get me wrong, this is me that we're talking about, and I have my complaints because I always do. But ultimately, I love what they did with this movie. If I had to narrow it down to my one favorite element of this film, it has to be Bill Skarsgård and Pennywise. He ultimately makes this movie for me. Don't get me wrong, the chemistry with the kids, really, really good. But Pennywise is really why I love this film.
You know who actually, for me, stands out? It's kind of weird.
Go ahead.
I'll let you guess.
I was going to guess...
Go ahead.
Jaden Martell. So, Bill.
He does a fantastic job. But actually, Sophie Lillis,
I think?
Lillis, thank you. She kind of steals each scene she's in. In the perfect way. Because she's kind of... in a way, she's supposed to kind of steal the scenes. Because, they're all adolescents and, hey, there's a female.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, it kind of naturally supposed to happen, but it feels natural. Unlike in, I'm gonna compare it to the other It from time to time.
Yeah.
Um, but like, other than Bill and the other one, like everyone else kind of felt like blank sheets.
In the original movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they were very one note. While in this one, like Beverly feels like a fleshed out character.
Mm-hmm.
Ben feels like a fleshed out character. Mike feels fleshed out. Richie would say, in my personal opinion, and the other one would be the second most fleshed out, but I think that's also just because Seth Green knows how to act.
Yeah.
Like with comedic roles. But Richie in this feels even more fleshed out. Stanley feels fleshed out. Eddie feels fleshed out. Everyone feels so like human.
Mm-hmm. The one that I would actually argue has the least like backstory to me would probably be Richie, but even still, him like he does have more character than the original. So
well,
much
I would
more.
say you don't need his backstory to get his full story.
Well, okay. Let me rephrase that. I don't mean backstory, but like he doesn't have as much depth to me as a character. Like he's the quirky comeback kid at times. I mean, not nearly as much as Eddie in this, but
Well, I guess that's fair, but I think it's weird to judge this a little bit with like the insight of two now. But how they play with his character forward,
mm-hmm.
like they obviously probably told Finn Wolfhard that,
Yeah.
right? And they played that very well.
Like ultimately, they decided when they were casting for it, they knew that they were casting both the first movie and the second movie at the same time. So it's really
we didn't know who the older cast was going to be yet.
No, but they had to cast them at the same time because there's no making it 1 without making it part 2. It's just
no. But they,
inevitable.
like it took it was after the first one came out. It was a success,
Mm-hmm.
and like they actually asked the actors and actress from the old cast, Steven.
Sorry.
For the love of God, man, my ears. It's like fucking nails on a chalkboard.
Sorry, I forget sometimes. It just every once in a while it catches my attention and it just bugs me.
Just take off the thing.
But then it's all gold and nasty.
Oh well. Rather than us hearing the entire time. Anyways, they did. I believe they asked all the cast members because I know they asked Finn Wolfhard, who wanted to play him as an adult. Because if you don't know, it's Bill Nader. Nader. Hader.
There you go. There you go.
God.
I was like, it
What
starts with an H.
And you know, Bill talked about in a recent interview he had. He's like, yeah, no, that kid's gonna go somewhere. He's got talent. And you know, cool ideals for himself as well. That's cool. And like everyone feels like fleshed out and real, and like everyone's reasonings for what they're doing makes sense in this film.
I'm gonna counteract that with one person.
Oh,
Henry Bowser.
I'll counter Henry Bowers with a Bill Skarsgård.
Well, sure, Bill Skarsgård is pretty damn great, but still.
But I'm saying his influence.
Maybe at the ends, yes, I can say that'll work. But before that, he's just a sociopath who randomly exists in the city. And don't get me wrong, the second movie kind of gives a little more insight on that. But just overall, when you just see this kid act the way he acts, seemingly unwarranted, it's just ridiculous at times. It's like, I don't know about anybody else who's had their bully do the things that he's done to them. So
yeah, but I'll say this: it's a small town in the middle of the forest in the northwest or northeast.
It's in Iowa, right?
Maine.
Maine. That's right. I misread.
Anytime it's Stephen King related, just assume we're going to Maine.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime. It's like, I think 9 out of every 9 times you're gonna be right.
Sorry. I was really looking over on the screen. It's not at chat or anything because I'm looking through shit, but this screen had Maine or Iowa on it. So, alright. So, let's see. We like the kid actors. We like Bill Skarsgård. Let's see. What else is there to like in this movie?
The creepypasta-esque villains, creatures that they run into.
Every once in a while, I say yes. The one that I don't like is probably the lady. I don't know how to explain it too well without. I guess Stan's. Yes, Stanley's. That's the one I'm thinking of. Hers is the one that I don't like so much, but okay, awkward noise real fast. There we go.
I feel like that one still works because it's such a. That is, if that photograph, if that painting was in your home as a child, would it not creep you the fuck out?
I mean, it definitely would. I'm an anxious person.
So, like, the idea of it coming to life makes sense in your brain. And then it actually comes to life. Fuck that. I'm out. Because, like, it's a connect. He has a connection to that
It's just
portrait,
been
so.
there all his life. So,
Yeah.
mhm.
So that's what he has to deal with. And I will say, like, the other ones, the what is it called? The Eddies.
I know what you're talking about. Leper.
Leper. Thank you. Like,
I was thinking
damn.
Lycanthrope, for some reason. Lycanthropy. Yes.
Leper was fucking creepy looking, man.
Absolutely. It's. Hey, Eddie. No.
The pill.
Yeah. Jesus. I would definitely agree that it was creepy. That one was definitely creepy. Though the one that didn't creep me out well, I mean, it creeped me out in a way only because Stephen King is creepy, and it was definitely Beverly's interactions. It's just, Stephen King, why are you so creepy?
Yeah, that one is one of those that you're like, man, what the fuck? Like, I don't even, like, it's one of those ones, like, we're laughing, but, like, I don't even feel comfortable laughing.
I mean,
there's no comfortability with it at all.
Thankfully, we don't have to deal with that kind of stuff, so.
Yeah,
but,
'cause holy shit, man. That, like, those scenes just get so, like, uneasy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm gonna say, as a ignorant male who doesn't understand this stuff, does growing into adolescence, I mean, you don't have to answer, but this is just me asking a question out to the void. Like, doesn't the modern era make growing into adolescence a little less scary for modern I mean, probably not, but
probably not, given other reasons.
Yeah, but like, when I think of reasons why growing older as a woman would be scary, is because it's the I'm not gonna say the 1800s, but I'm gonna say it's the ages of knights and castles and stuff, and like, you are married to a king that you don't like, and like, it's some Game of Thrones shit. That is the only reason. You are Sansa Stark, and that's why you are afraid of growing into a woman. But, you know.
You've lost me on so many levels. No, what I'm going to say is that, like, the shit this films, in all honesty, go into is still problems we deal with today. And, like, it's not afraid to talk and, like, to go into it. Mm-hmm. Which is cool and also scary. but I feel it's one of those things that gives it hopefully gives people some power, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
The second movie's about giving them power. This one is about being a kid. I mean, there's a lot to get off of this movie, but all in all, when I think of It from 2017, I think good movie, definitely want to watch again, definitely will watch again. Like, watching it for this show was the third time I've watched this movie, and I still like it. I still enjoy. So, bless you and your exploding face.
I either got a cold or I am really dealing with allergies.
It's almost fall. Who knows? You might have fall allergy soon. If those are really a thing. But, is there anything else you want to talk about before I hand you your popcorns? Or give you your popcorns?
Setting is also fantastic in this. And I love some of the camera work in this.
Yeah. What's not to like?
Oh my god, the scene where, like... So, correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
The scene towards the end when Pennywise dances, and it keeps the head as the focal point.
Mm-hmm.
What they had to do is take a wide shot, zoom it in, and then capture it to him, right?
Yes. They call that stabilization. And some people do that with weird things. Like, I've seen it online where somebody has stabilized somebody flipping a water bottle. So the water bottle never moves, but the background flips. So, like, people do that stuff all the time. And it's just a wider angle that's zoomed in.
Fucking cool.
That was my favorite freaking part of that film. Honestly, like, seeing the menacing look and the effect that gave, I was like, oh, that's so cool.
It's fucking creepy, dude. Like, yeah. And it's not the only time it happens, but it's the most prominent time it happens. Mm-hmm. And it works.
Yeah. The first movie, I'm going to say it now. The first movie is probably my favorite of the two. And all because I prefer what they do with this. It's scary. It has great cinematography moments. Pennywise is ominously creepy, and it's just this tension always throughout this film. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Like, it has everything that I'm looking for when I'm looking for a scary movie.
That's fair. That's real fair.
But I ultimately won't give it the perfect score, because I still have complaints as always. But it's not going to be low. It won't be low.
What? Is the score going to low?
It will float. They all float here.
Down here.
Yeah.
You'll float too. You'll float too. You'll float too. You'll float too. You'll float too.
You'll float too. You'll float too.
I wish you could do like a mixture of both, like layer it so there's a little bit of high and a little bit of low.
You'll float too. No, wow, holy shit! Welcome to the Alvin and the Chipmunks, bruh.
I didn't hear Alvin, but.
And I get a hula hoop.
I heard it there. Oh, God. Now you're just Gladys.
You'll float too, though. Holy shit, that's it. Oh, fuck. You'll float too. You'll float too. You'll float too. You'll float too.
Yeah, that's one of my second favorite moment, I think, honestly. Just, all right.
Just how he flops.
Yes. Which I love how they it's kind of spoilery, but I love how they explain why he does the stuff. Like, they make a reason to why he's not just straight up killing these people all the time. And I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
And it makes the movie make sense. And, like, it gets you in there more. And... Oh, third favorite? The projector.
Dude. Yes. Also really good.
Yes.
So, I don't know, every time, and I guess part of it, too, is when you know something's coming up, they still surprise you with it.
Yes. It's like, the stories, if you've seen the original, it's pretty similar. It's, like, not quite beat for beat, but it has similar moments in the story. But when you get to those moments, it adds a twist that just really makes it worth it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Without a doubt.
So, we're starting to get a little bit spoilery, so I'm going to give you your popcorn so we can move on.
9.
9 popcorns.
9.5.
9.5, even better. Okay. Because, like, I like that. I'm definitely not going to give it a 10. Deserves higher than an 8. Give it a 9. It's a good movie.
We round up
to 9.5. So, overall, good movie. I like it. Nice. Let's move on. Awkward transition. Oh yeah, I'll give it a second, I guess, for anyone who doesn't want to hear anything about this, even if it's non-spoilers.
Yeah. I wasn't doing that for that. I was doing it because, like, oh boy, here we go.
No, I was giving that for that. But, no, yeah. So, 2 hours and 40 minutes long.
Doesn't feel like it.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. I was like, does it feel like that was a long movie for you?
No. The only reason why I knew what, like, the time was because my watch went off. I forgot to put it on silent. So, like, it doesn't make noise. It vibrates on my wrist.
Okay, that's
so
good.
I was like, oh. That's the only time I ever saw the time. And I didn't even really process the time until, like, the third or fourth time it went off. And I was like, oh. It's this late. It's already 8 something. And there's still a part of this movie to go. Okay. I hadn't even realized it was that late. But it rides it, dude. You ride that ride and you're just like, hell yeah, let's go. Cast is really good.
Of course.
My one weird complaint.
Hit me.
Is that Jessica Chastain doesn't quite look like how I would think Beverly would grow into.
I partially agree with you. Because
the only major thing, eyes.
Yeah, that was my thought too. I was like, the eyes is kind of off-putting. But no, yeah. They weren't like direct comparisons that I could see in this instance. But she still played her very well.
Oh, without a doubt. No, it's not a knock against her acting or anything. She does a fucking fantastic job. It's just for my brain, it's like his Beverly child has really is wide-eyed.
Yeah.
And bright-eyed. That's my only complaint on casting, because everyone feels like the adult forms of each of their characters.
Mm-hmm.
And also looks like the adult form of their characters. Like
the one that kind of got me, that like both Jessica, but also Ben for Jay Ryan. With Jay Ryan for Ben.
I see it with his facial structure.
Okay.
Because his eyes, he has narrower eyes. He
I would have bought it.
Like
go ahead, actually, go.
No, go ahead.
I would have bought it better for him if the hair was just slightly lighter. Because he had a dark brown hair in this instance. And, like, if it was just a lighter brown, I would have preferred that, I think.
I will say, certain people grow into their hair. Mm-hmm. Like, their hair gets darker as they go through adolescence.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes sense. And I think it's also because that's how they wrote the character, because it's the same thing that they did with the original version of the It. So I think that's how it's written. That his hair gets darker as he aged.
Okay.
I could be wrong, but both adaptations of the book into film of some sort have done that, so...
I thought he was a little lighter haired. And either way, I get what you're saying.
Adult Ben had like the dark brown beard, brown hair, and younger Ben, who's in this film as big guy, who's supposed to be your psych out for who Ben is, still has his blonde hair from when he was a kid. But you could see, I can see it in the sense that like I know people who have like their hair just has changed as they've gotten older. So
no, I get you.
Myself included. My hair used to be a little bit lighter, but because I lived in Arizona, so my hair like
it was sun bleached.
Yeah. But as I've moved around a lot more and done more inside related activities, my hair's gotten darker. So also part of it. But I mean, it's for different reasons, but like again, hair changes as you age. So I don't think that bothered me that much because I also like their facial structures were interchangeable for me. James McAvoy.
He was okay. Like I thought he was just an average one to me because my two favorites were Bill Hader and Bill Skarsgård. Like McAvoy was maybe third, but
I love James McAvoy because he can, at this point he can play any role.
Well, duh, he literally played a character where he was playing every role. So
well, it's not just that. Well, I mean, and we've talked about it. Like we've had him in a couple other films. He's a good actor. He's so good, and like he feels exactly how Bill would feel as an adult. Because sort of plot related, we'll get into it more, but like a lot of this is like the character, like the big like plot thing is about because they kind of come back. There's some of the same beats return. Like when they left, they forgot, but when they came back, they remembered. And with that, they sort of kind of pick up some of their old habits.
Yeah.
And mannerisms and stuff like that. And this goes for the cast abroad. They all act like how they would act, but James McAvoy is so emotive, like how Ben or Bill would be as well. Like, not that anyone else isn't as emotive in a sense, but it's just because it's James McAvoy and he puts in that like he always has that extra in him. You know what I mean?
No, I get you.
It's James McAvoy. He always does. There are times where he can even go over the top. But I don't discount that because he's obviously giving it everything into his role. So,
like, there was definitely one or two moments in the movie where I saw, like, it was weird because he like suddenly his posture kind of changed a little bit, and it was almost like he was playing the Beast again. Not quite exactly the Beast, but like one of the personalities from the Shyamalan film. Like he was he had the lisp in his mouth. And he had like a stance, and I was like, now he's not playing Bill anymore. But then it quickly went away. But every once in a while, I just associated him more with that movie than I did with him being Bill, I guess. And I guess that's more me typecasting him than it is.
Yeah, I would say I don't typecast him with that, so that may be a you thing. Also, James Ramson, who plays Eddie. Surprise! I don't remember anything else I've seen him in. Damn, dude, he does a really great job.
No, yeah, he was definitely one of my favorites. Where he definitely felt like he was the exact embodiment of the adult. Like,
yes,
especially the scene where he interacts with Henry again. Like, it was in the bathroom. It was perfect. It was like. What are you doing? Yes, that was like I loved that moment in the movie. It was good. It was exactly what I would have loved to have seen. Like I'm trying to look at other movies that he's been in, and I'm just like, I have not seen it.
Not much that I've seen. Yeah. But like, I don't think any of these are ones that I've seen. But he does such a great job. I want to see him in more stuff now. Like that's one thing I appreciate about both these films. I want to see these people in more stuff now.
Yeah.
Because, like, I want to see these, like, the younger actors, I want to see where their careers take them because they all do such a great job. And potentially seeing where they go is going to be awesome.
He was in one episode of Hawaii Five-0.
I saw that.
And one episode of Bird Notice.
This movie does such a great job of picking up where it's supposed to after the last one picks up, with some honestly personal opinion, great meta humor about some stuff.
Okay.
And I will get into that with the spoiler section because I don't want to spoil it for people who don't want to have something spoiled for them, which personally I find to be one of the best parts. But they do such a good job of it, and there's some tonal shift. How I said the last one was the perfect tension horror with a side of comedy, right? This one is the perfect dark humor film with a side of suspension horror.
Okay.
Two very similar meals.
You really enjoy playing the pronoun game.
They're both very similar meals, right?
No, yeah. So, like, ultimately, the way I know it, the way I would say that is, the first movie was scary. The first movie was a horror. The second was a horror comedy, basically. If we wanted to simplify it.
One is sweet, one is savory. Probably the opposite order,
Yeah.
but but it's perfect because it's like, especially having watched these within like 24 hours of each other, it was perfect because it was like I started with that savory, delicious, and it ended on that sweet sustenance that it has in the second one. It's just like I feel these two films complement each other.
Which also, I think, puts the second film in a little bit of a disadvantage, in all honesty. Because the second...
I can agree with that, but I try not to hold this second... because of the tonal shifts and stuff like that, I hold it to a different standard. For me, personally.
Yeah. Like, this second movie, it's weird because it tells a little bit of the first movie. It doesn't do nearly as much backtracking as the original movie did, the original TV miniseries did, but it definitely did some backtracking, which kind of lost me. And at other times, it just like, I'm not gonna say it felt slow by any means, but like I could have dealt with a little less flashback, all in all.
I am on the opposite spectrum because I feel they work really well due to the fact that they add more. They don't tell things that we've already seen.
That's true, yes.
Everything we see in this are stuff that I believe would have been in the first film, but they cut it for story reasons. And they make sense. So, I personally feel like they work well and they blend well through the film.
Like they definitely blend well. That's one thing that I say they do very well, but also kind of a little too much. Like they blend how they transition from modern to flashback to modern to flashback extremely well. It's super well thought out and it's very seamless. But it's just very repetitive. Like it's setup, flashback, old person, payoff. Setup, flashback, old person, payoff for each one of the 7.
But at the same time, they kind of have to because of the narrative that they're following.
Yeah, so
their endpoint. And I will say that would be considered the first act, right?
This is more than a 3-act film. I would call
it okay.
Yeah. This one I couldn't exactly say how many acts right off the top of my head because I didn't keep track of that. But I would say like Act 1 is the assembly, Act 2 is this part. Act 3 would be
the journey.
Act 3 it's either getting there or it's assembly. It's hard to
Would it start from the scene with Mike? Mike and Richie. Would you say that's where the third act kind of starts?
Yeah, I would probably say that's where the third act would start. And then when it goes to them going out alone to do their things, that's a fourth. And then like Yeah. It's just, this is definitely split up a lot more like a book. It's definitely chapters more than it's Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. I mean, overall, you could definitely boil it down to Act 1 being the assembly and then the fetching of their items. Act 2 is the getting to the his Pennywise. Act 3 is, the finale and the conclusion, all that stuff.
Yeah. And there's a little prologue, which I will say, the changes they did to this film, this part, all felt really good except for one moment. And it's because it was very tropey how it happens.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, it happened, and I'm like, man, I was seeing that happen from, like, 6 city blocks away. Like, man. But again, at the same time, personal opinion, you couldn't really do it to anyone else. So,
Okay.
Personal opinion. But again, it was good, and it pays off. It pays off everything the first one does really well. I think there's a second part that I'm not a huge fan of, but I'll get into that in the spoiler section as well.
Okay.
But like, and it's shot really well. Some of the like shots they did were just fucking malicious. Like the hue shift of the coloring during one of Bill Hader's scenes, and just the float down, dude. That was fucking cool. Like,
like I have a couple. Like how I said with Bill Hader. Bill Hader was one of my favorite actors. Only partially because of how well he captured the spirit of Eddie or Freddy or Tozier. I'll just say that's Richie Tozier. There we go. Because he really captured that like feeling of him, but also just his mannerisms and his like physical movements and everything. He was just the most enjoyable character for me, I feel, overall. But secondly, I would say the next closest to that would be Pennywise, because of the way that he does things, like just how he floats down and how they throw the angles on him, so it's super menacing on how he's approaching you. Because, oh god, and like, but my complaint is that there is too much Bill and not enough Bill. Too much Bill Hader, not enough Bill Skarsgård. Because like I was looking for a little bit more of the horror side myself, but this is definitely more of the dark comedy that you're saying, and which
I'm a huge fan of dark comedies.
Yeah,
like Cabin in the Woods and Ready or Not are honestly 2 films that I will hold highly. Honestly, because they are fucking fantastic dark comedies, and this one has some of those kind of dark comedic beats that really matter to me.
Yeah,
which is being like it's self-aware enough that it doesn't break the film, but it makes you be like, ha! I get it.
Ultimately, the one part that's just overly self-aware is Bill and his story and his overarching joke that happens with him. Like, that's the part that feels super self-aware for me, especially seeing that there is a cameo from Stephen King in this movie. But
spoilers.
Oh, whatever.
He's not even on the IMDb.
Whatever.
I made sure that's what I was trying to hide.
Whatever. It's an actor.
You can't backtrack that.
Either way, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter overall. I'm worried about more of the story, but I get you, sure. But doesn't matter where he is. Nobody knows how. He's just in there somewhere. But as I was saying, like, fuck, I lost what I was saying.
The whole
wasn't even
Bill
listening.
and Bill.
Yeah. Like, okay, yeah, I came more for the horror elements. I came more for the scares, and sure, the scares were kind of present, but I like how Pennywise is portrayed. I like how when he shows up, he commands your presence. I mean, and technically until the very end, but even at that very end, he's still commanding that you look at him and sympathize with him a little bit. So, like, I love watching Pennywise and Bill Skarsgård, and I feel like at some point, sadly enough, we can't let this rest. So there's going to be a sequel or a prequel or something about Pennywise with Bill Skarsgård from this studio at some point.
What I see, well, it's Warner Brothers. What I see happening is, because, in fact, you're not wrong. This book is actually connected to
the Dark Tower.
Yes. Like, all Stephen King's books are actually very, like, threaded together. Some of it very loosely, some of it a lot more heavy-handedly, like The Stand and Dark Tower. But all of them have small little threads that connect, sort of. Mm-hmm. And with Dr. Sleep coming out...
That's something I wanted to talk to you about when we got the news and wrap-up.
I see them tying... Because it's a direct sequel to Shining, which the book is as well. I see this all sort of potentially getting tied together into something else. The only problem is they fucked up Dark Tower. So...
They'll do it again. A third time.
Second time.
Well, yeah. They'll do it a second time. Second time's a charm.
Well, but there is a series that's supposed to be coming out, which was supposed to star Idris Elba, but because the film bombed, they felt it was probably better for the series to kind of be separated from that. Mm-hmm. But I could see them trying to tie these together, which I think could work in some way. As long as it doesn't... As long as, my personal opinion, with franchising, if they make a Stephen King universe, film/TV.
What would be the catchy name they would give it?
Kingverse? I don't know if that would work, because Kingsman is having a slight, Kingsman movie coming out, which is a prequel to all of it, by the way. I don't know if you can call it the Kingsverse. That wouldn't quite work.
What is?
Well, no, it would be the Dark Tower universe, right?
I would think either Dark Tower universe or like something related to one of the characters, like
the Pennyverse.
Not Pennyverse, not like Chewedverse either, but like something related to that.
The Shining. Just call the whole universe The Shining.
Sure. The shining example of how your movies could be related if they're done well. Except for
the thing is, even then, Dark Tower could still technically get tied into it, because we've seen universes have bad films still tie them in, and they still do successfully. Mm-hmm. Hi, Avengers universe. Phase 1 was rough at parts, but you made it through it. With this, I wouldn't mind seeing them have little threads that connected to this. Because there are a lot of questions still left after this film. Mm-hmm. That I want to talk about during spoilers, but talking about it now would spoil a ton of the end of the film.
Yes.
But I think that's cool that that as long as they leave this part of the story alone, we would like to see more.
Mm-hmm. Ultimately, I'd say yes. I would love to see more, but ultimately what I'm getting at is because Pennywise is the favorite part of this movie, at least for me, that Warner Brothers is going to be yeah, we'll figure something out in there to make a Pennywise specific film, or throw him in as much stuff we can elsewhere. And
oh, speaking of it, how did you feel about the opening stinger?
That was probably the hardest part of this film to watch.
The trailer that starts out?
The trailer.
Did you not get it? There's a trailer that starts out with the balloons. There's a Birds of Prey trailer that starts out this film.
Oh, that trailer. Okay, yes. I saw that trailer. That was cute. I understood that. I was like, that's just silly, dumb jokes, but okay.
weird that we can talk about it because technically it's tied into this film due to the fact that they are going with the Harley Quinn from later in comics who is fourth wall breaking.
Mm-hmm.
So like we're gonna get Deadpool and friends, just women, which I'm cool with. If it was Gwenpool.
But it's not.
DC I don't trust as much. Mind you, the last two films haven't been awful.
We're getting so off topic here.
It's their fault for putting this at the beginning of the fucking film with balloons.
I thought you were talking about the opening stinger with the scene where they show that Pennywise is back, and I was like, oh god, that was the hardest part of the movie for me to watch. I didn't know you were talking about the trailers beforehand at first, so.
Oh no, I was talking about the opening stinger of the fucking like day. It's like it starts out with the balloons, and fucking Harley Quinn walks out. It's like, oh cool, awesome, rad.
And then again, the trailer,
I don't mind Harley Quinn, and I would love to see Birds of Prey. They're an awesome group inside the DC universe, but my trust in DC is shaky. So,
yeah. I mean, mine had that, and then was immediately followed by a trailer for Birds of Prey. Was yours not?
Yeah, it was.
Okay. Just making sure.
With like the very quick cut trailer, the like quick scenes here and there where it doesn't really show anything, and like a couple shots, like one of Huntress like has her crossbow gun out,
okay.
And like it's just very quickly put together kind of thing. Like it looks like it's just like flash frame scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Which, weirdly enough, Ewan McGregor's going to be in that too.
Yes, he is.
Whoosh!
You're having a good time, aren't you?
Dude, this shit's all connected somehow.
Everything's
no, it's
connected.
not. Threads! Which, by the way, it's cool to see his career, like, he hasn't been as much in, at least in American film-wise, lately. So, like, seeing him in more stuff is just really nice. I like Ewan McGregor.
I'll be honest, to me, I've noticed this pattern. We're getting off topic of it too, so bear with us for a moment. But I've noticed a pattern where there's going to be one actor who comes up, he's in like 3 or 4 films, and then he rotates out for a little while. And then there's another actor, and he's in 3 or 4 films, and then he rotates out for a little while. And then there's another actor. Like, I'm sure that's how it works, because it's like, okay, I made this one movie, I'm shooting this one movie, okay, now I'm going to go shoot this next movie, and then I'm going to go shoot this next movie, and then I'm going to go do PR for this movie, followed by PR for that movie, and then I get all that money banked in. All right, now I'm running low on money, so let's do this film. Oh, you're offering me another film? Cool, let's do that film. Okay, now, like...
Well, with Ewan McGregor is that I feel like people are like, man, he's a really good actor. And you want to know what film probably gave people that remembrance that he's actually a good actor?
Is it Christopher Robin?
Christopher Robin.
General Kenobi.
Anyways, back to it, Chapter 2. Man, just such a good fucking film. God.
So yeah.
Just damn, dude. Like, what a fucking follow-up.
Yeah, it's definitely been a while since I've bursted out laughing in the middle of a movie. And that happened a couple of times in this film. Like, this had me laughing harder than most of the comedy films that we've seen in a while. Even Hobbs and Shaw, which was funny, but I thought this was funnier.
Fair enough.
Especially when Bill Hader does his, like, body comedy moment towards the climax of the film. Where, like, spoilery stuff, so I'm not going to explain it, but, like, there's a moment where he kind of just stops. So, like, that to me was hilarious. Like, everyone else in the theater was, but I was like, look how hilarious he looks in this moment of being so climactic and triumphant a second ago. But, like, ultimately, visuals and what they did to revamp the final fight in this movie, superb. The visuals...
Oh my god!
The visuals just in general were pretty damn great. How they did the cinematography and how we cut from moment to moment. It was freaking amazing. Like, the only thing, like, my biggest complaint is there's just not enough Pennywise. I would have loved to have more Pennywise in this movie.
That's fair. And I guess your complaint is just you want more horror in general.
Because, like, don't get me wrong, I love the scares in this movie. A lot of them were kind of jump scare related in this film. Not as much as the last one, but, like, it was definitely just, oh, hey, look, everything's fine. Oh my god, I'm about to be eaten! Kind of like, it's just kind of sudden in some of these moments. So, it's fine, ultimately, but if those, oh my god, I'm going to be eaten moments were, oh my god, I'm going to be eaten by a giant clown, that would have been better. But, whatever.
That's fair. Yeah. No, that's fair. I'm not going to argue on that point.
Mm-hmm. So, bless you?
Uh-huh.
That was a muted bless you, so I couldn't tell.
I managed to get to the mute button fast enough, because I can do that.
I hate how you do that sometimes. For anyone who's not on one of the shows regularly, he constantly explains, like, this is gonna happen, and then he mutes himself in the middle of explaining what's happening, so it's like, oh yes, I totally understand what's happening. But no, like, it makes sense, but it's also like, god damn it, just explain it and then show it.
You know what? You.
Okay. Enough of me complaining about you. Do we have anything else we want to talk about before we hop into spoilers for this 2 hour long, 2 hour and 40 minute long?
It's going to be 5 hours plus of spoilers talk. Yeah. Not really like how long we're talking about, but the amount of stuff we are talking about is a 5 hour plus chunk of film. We're going to talk about both films.
Yeah.
Because a lot of this is going to be threading back and forth. So I'm going to thread some popcorns at you. 10 to be exact.
10 of them. Okay. So for me, even though it doesn't...
They're on a little popcorn chain with like some cranberries on there, like for Christmas. You ever make those?
I never did, but...
They're awful.
Okay. I had never heard cranberries. I've definitely heard popcorn, but not cranberries.
My mom would make us do it with cranberries in there too. Like every so often, like he'd have to throw in a cranberry or else it'd look weird. Dude... Fucking pain in the ass. Because it teaches you no real fucking skills other than I can shove a needle through a piece of popcorn. Or into my fucking finger.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I could just see you, Dev, being like, okay, I'm going to poke this popcorn. Oh, well, I poked right through the middle and broke the whole piece, so now it won't stick together. All right, next piece of popcorn. Ow, I just poked my finger. All right, try again. Well, I just broke that kernel. All right, let's try again. Oh, my finger is bleeding.
It was my fault, dude. Like, you know how fucking hard it is to keep a popcorn piece together when you're breaking the structural integrity of a popcorn? Apparently, dude, the structural integrity of a popcorn is super important to the popcorn itself. Because the moment you put a fucking needle into that shit, the thing's ready to fall apart.
How'd I know? Like, well, that broke.
It didn't happen that consistently, but you saying it makes me remember it, and it feels like when you're doing it, feels that consistent. And I hate it. I will never make my children ever make a popcorn chain unless they ask to make a popcorn chain.
Mm-hmm. I feel like the exact situation I see is you go through, you break one, you go through, you break another, you go through, you poke your finger, ow, that sucks. All right, go through, break the third, dang, pick up the fourth, now there's blood on the fourth one, looks like I'm going to have to go wrap up my finger, all right, couple minutes later, come back, all right, poke.
I don't think I ever pricked to blood, but there was enough, like, go-ahead pricks, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I mean, theoretically, all piercing wounds don't bleed if they're done properly, so...
Well, I guess maybe some of them bled, but they didn't bleed that much to where they would make, like more than a layer, I guess. You know what I mean? I don't know. Popcorn!
Okay, popcorn. I'm giving this movie, out of the 10 popcorn kernels on the string that you've given me, because I made a Christmas joke and now you're making a Christmas reference, I would give this movie 8. 8 popcorns. Not quite as good as the first one. Still pretty damn good, though.
9.5.
All right. They're just two sides of the same cord. Yeah. We've got a 9.5 and a 9. Cool. So, can you hit the button for me, Dev?
Let's get ready to spoil it! Let's get ready to spoil it!
Yeah, I was like, there's the bass drop. Womp womp.
Let's get ready to spoiler.
Man, if only we had talented fans, or not fans, subscribers, or whatever we're gonna call you guys eventually. If only we had people who knew how to remix music like that. I think we do.
I'll learn. Not really.
I was about to say, you learn how to do something productive for content? What?
Fuck yourself. I do plenty to make, productivity for content. I just don't have time.
I get you. Okay, so right now we're in spoilers. I have It Chapter 2 spoilers up, but we're in general spoilers for both It Chapter 2 and It 1. So, where do we want to talk
Actually,
about?
you have the... Oh, I thought... I like what you're doing there. You're bouncing back and forth. Man. Like, these films just thread together so goddamn fucking deliciously. Like, dude, this is a 2-course meal. Or no, this is a you know what this is a I would say this is a 4-course meal with a dessert at the end.
Okay.
You have your opening appetizers, right? Your little bits that kind of like these films together. You have your opening little bits, right? You have your first full part of the meal, right? Probably some meats, some other stuff in there, some starches.
Mm-hmm.
Then get a nice super salad, kind of easing your stomach again, and then you get another big plate of food.
Okay.
It's like going to a fucking buffet, and then at the end you're like, oh, I can't eat anymore. There's the ice cream machine that you can put anything you want on your ice cream.
I'll do it.
It's as in the meaning of life. It's only a wafer thin. And yes, to all of this. Like I genuinely don't really have any complaints about these two films, other than in It Chapter 2. Well, I'll talk about one of my favorite parts from It Chapter 2 first. The cameo that was apparently spoiled. But the meta-ness behind this, okay? So, if you don't know this, Stephen King writes a lot of authors into his stories. As almost a placeholder for himself, in a way. You know what I mean? Because, look at Misery. There's an author. Look at Shining. There's an author. Look at It. There's an author. He puts authors into a lot of his stuff.
Yes, he does.
So, the meta-ness that they did with this is, with James McAvoy's Bill being an author, they make it, because it's one of his books is being made into a film by Warner Brothers.
Mm-hmm.
One, well played, Warner Brothers, for starting the film out pretty much there. I fucking loved that. It doesn't start there, but after our opening bit with Mike and the stuff that happened in Derry to start things like him going I think it's back.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to kind of start to get meta with this from the get-go. And Warner Brothers being let's do it. Let's be a little meta. They've been doing it more lately too. We talked about it with Teen Titans.
Mm-hmm.
They did that with Teen Titans Go. To the movies. We pointed out that they were being very meta.
I mean, we also will probably get to see more of that meta next week, right? Or is that
Probably, which will be fucking funny.
So.
I have a prediction for next week, but I'll leave it for the end.
Okay.
But Bill goes in there, and they're like, "You're right. Your ending is shit. Everything else about this story is fantastic, but you can't end a book to save your life."
Mm-hmm.
And his wife is agreeative about it. I've been with you for 8 years. I can only go so far without being yeah, no, your endings are shit.
Mm-hmm. Not
And
all
he's
your
like,
endings,
I don't wanna
just this ending is how she tries to play it off. But
yeah, and this joke continues
Mhm.
throughout the story. Like everyone's making fun of his endings to his books and stuff like that until we get to the shop where he sees Silver, his bike from the first film. He goes in there, and lo and behold, he starts starting up a storm, and you just see the top of the shopkeep's eyes. And to me, immediately I'm like,
It's
I
just that
recognized
face.
it.
Yeah.
Because he's got the hat on, and is this.
Mhm.
And I'm like, is this who I think it is? Because if you don't know, Stephen King wears a fucking hat a lot. And he goes to Red Sox games. So, and I used to be a big Red Sox fan growing up.
Mhm.
Until they won the World Series, and then I stopped caring, I guess. I still care about them, but, like, my Mariners are more important. It was a phase, I guess, in sports. I don't know. I experimented with other teams while
While your team
My
wasn't
Mariner-
doing so good.
they still aren't, but I'm back with them.
I have pride again. It doesn't matter.
Well, I always was a Mariners fan, but, like, I wanted to experience something else for a little bit.
Mhm.
I still rooted for them, but, like, I knew they wouldn't go anywhere. Well, the Red Sox, before their first World Series win in 84 years, I was like, there's a shot with this. Like, it was before they did that. I started rooting for the Red Sox, before even that season. But, like, as it got to that season, I'm like, they have a shot at this. Well, the Mariners are slowly plummeting into the core of the earth. So, I didn't jump ship, but I was like, I had a foot on another ship for a little bit.
Okay.
Um.
Now back on task.
Anyways,
He was
I
wearing
used to
the
see
hat.
Stephen King
Mhm.
during Red Sox games
Mhm.
because my mom likes Stephen King. So like when they during the Red Sox games, like yep, and there's Stephen King, and she's like, hey, that's Stephen King. I'm like, oh, that's Stephen King. She's a huge Stephen King fan. Like she has an entire shelf dedicated to Stephen King books when I was a kid.
Mhm.
So whenever there was anything Stephen King related, it was on there. And so me watching a Red Sox game, she would be like, oh, that's Stephen King. So I know who Stephen King is.
Mhm.
So immediately I'm like, there's no way. This is going to get like Stan Lee level meta for a second. Shit you not, he stands up. That language is not going to be accepted in my shop. He says, it's a damn bike.
I thought it was fucking bike.
Fucking bike. Yeah, no, you're right. Sorry. Which this movie uses fuck a bit, and I'm like, yeah, I'm cool with it. Like, it's not gratuitous. It's very...
It's how a kid would use fuck.
Yes. But the entire time they're talking about, yeah, no, your endings are shit. Like, everyone thinks you just can't write an ending, and he's like, you want me to sign it? No, dude, you just... Nah.
I didn't like the ending.
I didn't like the ending. It's really meta because people say this
To him.
about Stephen King.
No, that's actually the reason I thought that was too meta. I was like, I know that's exactly why this joke is in here now. Is because the old It movie, every single like It or Stephen King story that I've ever heard, they don't like the ending. Most Stephen King movies, I don't like the ending, but like, so it made sense. So I was like, oh, it's just too much meta, but it was funny.
I loved it.
It was funny.
Because it works into the dark comedy. Like, it's pushing that, like, it's pushing the fourth wall without breaking the fourth wall.
Yeah, it doesn't break the fourth wall at all.
It's like, it's just over here like, here's the fourth wall.
All because they established the joke.
It's a very elastic fourth wall that it's like, I haven't broken it yet.
It's just because they're able to stretch the joke, and I love it. Like, they establish it right away with the two of the director and the wife, and then they just keep going with, like, this person, and then this person, and then Stephen King himself. Just, yeah, I didn't like the book. The ending. So, hey, at least at the end of the book, at least at the end of the movie, they learn how to write a better ending, which is funny because I like the ending of this movie better than I like the original. All because of just how they changed the one thing that they still remember each other.
Oh my god, that's such a big change. And it's one of those things that we talked about last week that, like, I was like, they have to change this. They have to. If they don't, it just ruins this entire thing.
And thankfully they did.
And it's almost metally joked about in it. Not really joked about, but, like, if you know the other story, you're like,
yeah,
what do you think we're remembering this time?
Yeah, they asked that.
He was like,
yeah, they, like, made it a point to be like, hey, last time that we told the story, they forgot no matter what. So we're going to tell the story again, and they're going to remember. So, hey, here's a reference to them forgetting the first time.
It makes more sense for all of our characters for where they go afterwards. Like, Mike leaving Derry, Bill being able to write a good story, for Benverly to be a thing.
Yeah, Benverly.
Like, Benverly probably wouldn't work if they don't remember why.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I mean,
that's a huge plot hole in the other version. To me personally. And I do appreciate the Richie stuff.
Yeah, Richie's little side story that we're told later on about Stan and Eddie. God, the Eddie part got me, especially at the end. Because, like, it added so much more character to Richie than the first movie had. Where we actually get to see this connection that he has and, like, all of this, like, sad frustration. Like, he's hiding his sorrow behind humor the whole, like, all of the time. He's hiding behind humor. And then finally at the end, he just can't do it anymore. He just has to break down. All because of Eddie. So, Bill Hader's, like, my favorite part of this movie. So,
he's such a good actor.
Yeah, honestly. Ah, God, my allergies are getting to me now.
Sorry. It's all my fault. I passed him along.
It's you and your placebo. Or not placebo.
Gazebo.
Yeah, whatever. It's not gazebo, but... Me and my empathic nature feeling my allergies acting up now. Okay, so, like, just all in all, I love this. I love how they transition between, like, past the present too, where it was all just camera movement and how they placed the actors in the locations, and, like, it was all just well thought out cinematography rather than flashback wave.
Yeah. Oh my god! The other one was so bad about it, and this, like, to the point that, like, there were moments where, like, they would, like, Bill doing that, and that's how they transition back, and it's, like, not even, like, aligned or anything. You're like, ooh. This one, damn. Like, that scene up, like, especially with Eddie, that scene where he, like, younger Eddie essentially walks into older Eddie, and it transitions that way. That was cool.
Yeah.
You don't see a lot of movies that have this, like, time parallels doing shots like that do it so well.
Mm-hmm. Which, I'm going to say, ultimately, my favorite adult scare was, once again, Bill Hader. When we get to see Pennywise floating down from the top of the statue.
Your dirty little secret.
Yeah. And
which I, at one point, thought he was going to start singing All American Rejects.
My dirty little secret. Yeah.
Your dirty little secret. Dirty little secret.
There's almost definitely a behind the scenes of him doing that. Like,
oh god, it's gonna be.
Oh, hello, Billy. I'll give you my dirty little secret.
But I love that. Yeah, no, I agree. And I love, like, the way when he starts floating, like, the tint changes, the scene, and then they have, like, the audio changes. And I love that entire scene because behind Bill Hader.
That was what I was going to talk about.
Oh.
Like, that was one thing that I love that they did in the first movie, where they have Ben in the library, and he's reading the book, and then all the people in the library just staring at him as he's reading. And,
well, it's one person. It's just the one.
The old
just
lady.
The old lady. Mm-hmm. But, like, as there's the other person just sitting there doing their thing. Mm-hmm. But the old lady's just like...
Yeah, just sitting there staring. And, like, they did it again with Bill Hader and, like, Ricky Tozier, and all the people are just back and forth, and just staring. And, oh, it's so interesting to see how, instead of them ignoring him, he's making them all interact, and Oh, it's good. It's good. And then,
well, and it shows that he had to change his style too.
Mhm.
Like, he can't just scare you. He has to control the situation to earn that now, because he's been beaten by you.
Yeah.
Guess what? I need to change my game. It shows an evolution in a villain. A villain. How many things do that?
It's true. And, like, my favorite... It's so simple, but my favorite thing about it is just how he approaches. And, like, it's just... When we always see him... It's all about cinematography. We always see Richie Tozer from below as he's, like, looking up at... Or from above as he's looking up at Pennywise, and we see Pennywise from below as he's looming over us. And then as he's floating down, it gets to the point where, like, we're looking at the bottom of this guy's shoes. Like, we can still see his face, but he's so far above us that it's just like, oh God, what's going on? And, like, it's so simply done, but it's so menacing, and I love it.
No, I agree. 100%. And I love that he's like, it's not real. It's not real.
Yes.
It's not real. It's not real. It's not real.
But
And just everyone behind him slowly stops. The color changes, and it lures you into his false sense of security. You know it's not gonna be security, but like the film is trying so hard that it makes sense, and you're okay with it, and you kind of give it. It's like, I know it's coming, but give it to me anyways.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Ah! And I liked because that scene is led up to before with the arcade going to the park and then seeing fucking Paul Bunyan chasing around young Richie.
Yeah.
Dude, like,
Which...
I'm not usually scared by giant CGI things, and I'm not really scared by it, but at the same time, seeing that, I'm like, fuck, that is creepy looking.
Yeah.
I've never thought of Paul Bunyan as creepy. Now, shit, that part's in my brain.
There's one of those statues at NAU, remember?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It looks almost identical.
Yeah, exactly. And there's one down the road from where I live, actually, here. There's one just down the street, about 20 minutes.
Now, every time you see it, you're going to see this woven wood mouth. Because, like, that was the part that I really liked. The wood, like, the mouth was obviously wooden, but it had, like, weaves of wood because the wood was tearing to do this.
Yeah.
Such detail.
Which, don't get me wrong, that's actually one of the scares that I had a complaint about, which is just like, sure, he walks out of being chased out of a place for, I guess, flirting with a guy, and then suddenly he's just attacked by a statue. Just he looks over and then, like, it was just not set up at all. It was just scares for scare's sakes. So it felt like the pacing of this film was off at times, where it's just like, okay, we have to throw a scare in now. Okay, now we're back to normal.
Well,
We have to throw a scare
I can
in.
agree with it, but also for me, part of it is that like these flashbacks were when it was showing them at their weakest moment during that summer.
And how they still managed to get through, though.
Yes. And still managed to come together and all that. So, and I feel like they were necessary, and I do agree that it was very next. It felt very questy, but
Yeah.
I don't see another way to get around that where like they get the things that they're supposed to be getting. Other than Ben. Ben's the only one who didn't really need to do anything, but he just needed to remember. That's the only thing he had to do.
I have to
His
remember why I
outfit
love
is
you.
Cool as fuck, though.
Like, I thought the scene with him as a young Ben was cool, but I can't really...
Yes.
Yeah, I can't remember old Ben very well. Like, what happened in the school.
Nothing really happened in school. He just remembers it.
Yeah.
Which is fine, because the young Ben scene is fucking intense.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it starts out with a fake out, but then you start to question it, and then you realize you've been duped twice. You've been double duped into that. You were right the first time, but we duped you into duping you. Which was pretty fucking cool. I knew it was coming just based off of how the scene started, but at the same time, it was like, I can deal with this. Cool. Because there's no way, to spoil it, there's a projector, and there's no way Beverly's shadow would ever make the Pennywise shadow in a million years.
I thought that too. I was like, that's definitely Pennywise. I was like, nope, it's just Beverly. It's like, nope, that's Pennywise. That's definitely...
This is the scene that happened in the adult version for Ben in the other version. Well, we're doing it here, aren't we? And then they slowly start getting into it. I'm like, this is that scene. I'm right. Shit. What are they going to do? And I didn't expect to see a young Beverly with fire hair.
That was...
Rider.
Yeah. That was creepy.
Fuck.
But, so, I do have one question. This is one thing that I did bring up. I partially noticed it, but it was it could be, like, missable. Did you notice that they had to de-age the kids?
Not really. Not enough to make it, like, make me self-aware. The only one I felt was a little off was actually going to be Eddie.
Okay.
Young Eddie felt a little too much more energetic.
That's what I was going to say. Like, young Eddie was the one that I noticed the most, where they youthed him and they pitched up his voice, and it was very noticeable for me with him.
They made him more energetic than he was in the other one.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing for me, which also could just be explained by different medication, because God knows how many gazebos he was on. But like that one scene with the paddle ball, I was like, eh.
I was like, yeah, you wouldn't do that.
No, he wouldn't. Like, which I also think they might have given him a little bit more leeway based off his performance in
the first
Shazam.
Movie? Oh, Shazam, yeah, maybe.
Same studio. So like this kid has been in 3 good Warner Brothers films. So good on him.
Yeah.
Way to make a name for yourself early on, being in 3 very notable films.
No, he's gonna.
I mean, one's a sequel, but
he'll pull a Britney Spears and then end up shaving his hair in the back somewhere.
Shut up. No, it worked. Besides that, like, I think my problems are like consistently going to be with Eddie, because the other problem I have is, spoiler, we're in the spoiler warning, but Eddie's death was that thing that I saw from 6 city blocks away.
Yeah, I mean, his death wasn't a surprise to me, but I liked it then. Like, I liked that a lot more than I liked the original story, where what happened...
Oh, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I agree. My problem is the setup. Is, one, no one else can die, based off of certain things. One, Bill is our lead. Bill doesn't die. Mm-hmm. 2, this is going to sound a little weird, but just hang on for me for a moment. With the last 2. 2, Benverly can't die because they just had that moment. Right? And they need to be that happy couple who survives this moment. Mm-hmm. Right? 3, Mike and Richie can't die because they are minorities in ways. Because Bill Hader, it's hinted at throughout the entire film, but you get to the end of it, and Richie, it's, he's closet, he's gay, at least. It's not defined on what he actually is, but, like, that's what it's implied. And Mike is black. Can't really kill both of them, or else you're going into some real trope character shit. Because, killing the black guy in a horror film, or killing the gay character, which is just a thing throughout all of cinema. On small screen or not. Happens a lot more than people think. Mm-hmm. So Eddie's kind of the only one who can die.
Kinda, yeah. But
based off of all that,
I do like the way that it changed, though. Like, how Eddie died saving Richie, and I liked how, like, Mike was even there for the fight this time too, because in the original movie he was attacked by Henry, who still kind of felt a little off in this film, but whatever, he's being mind controlled by a zombie, so whatever. But
I fucking loved the zombie, by the way.
Yeah.
That was.
Here's a knife.
Look, my knife.
Belch, is that you?
It was not Belch. This one, it's Belch is dead. Fun fact: there's a deleted scene from the first one that has Belch and the other guy that didn't get killed by it in the blue Pontiac with Henry when he drives up to the house.
Okay.
It's a deleted scene, but would have given more context for where they went.
Okay.
Anyways.
Yeah.
There's. I can't remember his name. Hold on, I'm gonna find it. Dead Hofstetter. Hochstetter. Because Hochstetter's in the first one. He dies in the sewers. Dead Hochstetter was fucking hilarious. For not just the zombie scene going up, but the car scene where he's just looking out the window in the driver's seat. Henry gets in.
Yeah, grabs it. Yeah.
That shit was so dumb, and I loved it.
He's like, he was reminiscing on what it meant to be alive and having a good time. Oh, we going? All right, shit, let's go.
Yeah. But I will agree, like, off a little bit. But like, oh god, where do we go from? Eddie, going back to that. His death, the only reason why I don't like it is because it's really set up because he does the heroic moment thing and then sits over Richie being like, I did it, Richie, I did it. I did it, Richie, I did it. I did it, Richie, I did it. For a good fucking 40 seconds, it feels like.
Well, yeah, he has to believe or else it doesn't work. And he believed. He really believed.
Yes, but the problem with that scene is you don't turn your back on the bad guy.
Yeah, you don't turn your back to the cage, as it was told by Chris Pratt.
Yes. Yeah, they said...
Yeah, right through the heart, man. Right through our hearts.
Right under the heart. Right under the heart.
Yeah, under his heart, but through our hearts.
'Cause you don't want to see it happen, but it happens. And, I do appreciate that, we have an explanation why the body isn't, there isn't a funeral for it and everything, because the body's lost during all of that, and yeah, no, I appreciate that, but, I mean, he lives a little bit afterwards.
How'd you feel about, the Stan's note at the end?
I'm torn. I've been open about it. I've been down paths that lead to suicide. And I don't know how I feel about the heroic suicide.
Yeah.
Or as, what are they called? System of the Down would say, a self-righteous suicide.
Yeah.
It makes sense for the character and the plot and his it
makes everything makes sense as explained, but it doesn't.
But it still doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
For me, it doesn't feel right. But that's also just my opinion on suicide. I don't like it when because of everything, it's more of a I don't like it when suicide is, I don't want to say idolized in this film, but
it's turned into a good thing in this movie.
It turned into a heroic act.
Yeah, where because he ended up not being there, they ended up winning and saving the universe or whatever. But it just doesn't seem right. This person gave up their life for seemingly no purpose in this movie. But hey, thank goodness they gave up their life, right?
Kinda, yeah, and it doesn't feel quite right.
No, that's kind of why I wanted to bring it up with you, because I felt the same way. It didn't sure it wraps everything up in a happy bow because that's what people like in movies, but it just didn't feel good. It wasn't a good.
It does not feel good. No. And I have history with that stuff, so that's also part of the opinion on it. So
Sorry, I got
it's one of those things that's just like I'm not okay with it, but I understand it. Because like I also like I get the heroic sacrifice in certain things. But it's still like I don't know.
Yeah, I get you. So, okay. Another thought. Giant spider Pennywise. Much better?
Okay with it.
Much better.
I preferred it over the other.
Yes. I liked it. I like how they ended up beating him too and what he
Made
turned
it
into.
more interactive.
Yes. Though at the same time, like, it was kind of upsetting to me because we get to see this giant monster of a man doing all this damage, but we also cut away from that to see Bill have his scene in the basement, and when we get to see Ben and Beverly. Yeah. We get to see...
Let's call him Benverly.
Benverly. We get to see their scenes as well, where they're still possibly dying in these moments, but it's not Pennywise related. I mean, sure, it kind of is, but it's
Well,
not.
my question is, they went inside Pennywise, right? That's what that's implying. They were inside of him in a way because of the giant mouth thing and all that.
That's what I'm assuming, because...
So I feel like he has control over the Dominion in ways, but still needs them afraid to die.
Yeah, no, like, it absolutely makes sense because, like...
At least when it's not physically him doing it.
Yeah, like, it still made sense. Like, every time that there was a horror or a scare, it was always Pennywise behind the scare. Like, when it was the leper attacking adult Eddie, it was still Pennywise being the leper. It was just that it just wasn't the clown, you know? And the clown is what I like. The clown is the imagery that I'm there for, especially because Bill Skarsgård
I liked the scenes. I liked how they did the Bill scene because it showed, because the big theme of this movie, and talking about it would almost spoil it, is
it's spoilers,
overcoming
man.
is overcoming like traumatic childhood things.
Oh yeah, it's all about being abused or something as a child and not being able to grow up as an adult, as a functioning proper adult until you get past that.
Yes.
So it's all about facing your
it's
trauma.
powerful. That is a powerful message, and I love that.
Which
Bill's scene is one of the most powerful because it's him getting past the fact that he's finally able to admit it's not his fault Georgie died.
Mm-hmm. Just because of
to
this
the point
one
that like
time.
he literally the evil, like one of the evil like image Georgies, he literally has to kind of kill it.
Yeah.
And then kill the younger self that believed that it was his fault.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a powerful scene.
Yeah, it's a very symbolically powerful message. And, like, kill the image of your brother that you think you murdered. Kill the version of you that still blames you for doing it. That's very powerful.
Yes.
It's just also feels kind of weird, but very powerful.
I get the whole problem with it being cut to that, though. I understand that.
Yeah. Like, if it was...
Especially given that your favorite part is Pennywise.
Yeah, especially, I love the whole, like, the best thing out of the whole middle section of the movie where they're going from place to place to collect their totems. As some people I've heard explain call it the video game portion of the movie, where it's like, yes, this is your fetch quest portion. That's not my complaints at all, but...
it is the fetch quest.
Yes. Yes, go collect these 8 totems and we shall defeat the demon.
It's 5 totems. They already have 2 of them.
That's true. So, but my 2 favorites were young Ben and adult Beverly.
Yes.
Especially when adult Beverly gets to see the unmakeupped Pennywise, and as he's slowly transitioning into the, it was so good. My father, I can't place the accent, but...
My father? It's Old Northeastern.
Yeah. My father was...
Came to this town
with $14 in his name. He joined
what do you do?
Joined the circus.
Joined the circus.
And then we get to see this
I
giant...
was always his little girl. I like the distortion because they don't give that away in the trailer.
No, they didn't. That's what that caught me off guard. I was like, oh, this is exactly how it plays in the trailer.
I was always his little girl.
Are you still his little girl, Beverly? Are you? Are you still his little girl?
Like,
Yeah.
damn. Like,
yeah, I have no idea where that came from, and it gave me chills. It really did. I was like, oh.
It was like, because you've seen the trailer God knows how many times just on TV. You've seen that part God knows how many times, and it still surprised you. I'm like, what? How did you show this so many times
and still make it
still
creepy.
surprise me with it? Good job.
All right, and another memorable moment. The other moment that really catches my eye, only because I freaking hate what he became, is Stan's head. Yeah, he becomes like the spider monster thing out of like The Shining itself, or Stanley Kubrick film, or whatever other horror reference you want to make. Like,
oh man, yeah, that was. I saw that. I'm like, yeah, Steven doesn't like spiders. That's gonna be rough for him.
I didn't.
I
Especially
like
when they started
the
coming
part
out of
that-
its eyes. I was like, oh!
That's what it gets me. Because I was fine with the rest of it, and then the eye thing. I'm like, oh, eyes. No, not the eyes, because I don't like the eye things.
Yeah, that's a trope in
That
horror.
got both of us.
Yeah, that was so much a trope of horror, only because people humans in our eyes, we prioritize sight over so many more things than we should. But like, just the thought of losing it and the things coming out of it, just, oh god, it gets me. And
I feel like the part that really got you was when they got to the corner and the drool fell, and you probably knew what was coming, and you're probably like, no, I don't want to see it, because, man, you knew it was gonna be weird, but like seeing it all curled up in the roof was just like. Ugh.
The part that actually got me the most was when we got to see it from Bill's perspective, when we just see as it's coming down on you, and you're just like, oh god, no.
I liked Ben though.
Yeah, no.
Which like he gets the first stab in, and then
yeah. Just oh no, yeah. Though I do love how it led up to like the drool comes down and he looks up, and his only response is, instead of the scream, he hides his fear behind the humor, and it's, so there he is. Yeah, like I laughed there, and then we got to see it coming at him from his perspective, and then I cried a little bit on the inside. So, yeah, there's that.
oh, and I just saw this up on Twitter. Is when the on-screen rivalry. I'll get this for you so you can show it. What should I send it to you on?
Send it to my Twitter if you can.
Got it. But this also just shows behind the scenes. All these people had such fantastic chemistry together. Srekcuf, there you are.
Huh. We should talk to somebody after this. Some little.
You're gonna have to go through twice, but yeah.
Go through twice. There's that. There's that.
But they had such chemistry on and offset.
I think I'm on the right screen. Can you tell me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good.
When the on-screen rivalry is entirely for show.
Yeah, like that's pretty good. That is very. Come on, show me the actual tweet. There we go. Yes.
That's a good tweet. I like it.
That's fun. That was one thing that I thought it was funny, because there's Bill the character, then there's Bill and Bill. And lots of Bills in this movie, and they do work well together. That's actually one thing I wanted to ask you about, because I heard wrong thing. Right thing? I think I'm on the right screen now. I don't know. I am. Hooray! Okay. the one thing that I heard as a complaint for this movie is the adult cast has no screen chemistry. Like, or they do, but it's not nearly as well composed as the kids. And the reason behind that is because a part of the adult story is them remembering what happened and them coming to remember why they need each other.
Well, and I think that's part of its strength, in my opinion. Like, them not having that chemistry right away. I would say they do have a lot of the chemistry that the other cast had, solely on the Chinese food scene. And the way they played off of each other really, really well during that entire scene. Personal opinion. I know other people might have a different opinion on it, but that's my opinion on it. I like that scene a lot because it reestablished that like these people obviously know each other and they obviously have great times together that they know of. But like seeing how you develop that, that remembering like that they don't quite meld together until towards the third act when they're backing each other up. They're there for each other. I feel is a strength to this movie and not a hindrance. Like their chemistry not being right from the get-go.
It builds up to the tension of the final moments at the end. Like it's because of the unsteadiness of the two, at least in my opinion. It's because of the unsteadiness of the group as like a group that at the end when they finally come together to defeat it makes it all the more powerful.
Well, even that entire third act, like like I felt like all of them played off of each other, especially scenes that they had together, really well. I also really feel like Mike, the actor who did Mike, where is it?
Isaiah Mustafa.
Mustafa, okay. I feel his like how he reacts to that entire third act of like having a plan goes to shit. And him just being like, I don't know what to do. I'm sorry, I don't know what to do. Was so human. Like,
I mean, he also it's human, but it's also like he was kind of villainized at the end there too, because he's like, they all died because they didn't know what they were doing, but I know what I'm doing because I looked into you and I'm better than you. Like that's kind of the personality that I got from Mike.
Well. I think part of it is, too, he's been, like he says, he's been in a cell for the last 30 years.
Yeah, he's been going crazy trying to figure out how to beat this guy if he'd ever show up again.
And that's because he still remembers it all. The others don't remember. He's stuck with these memories. And I can't blame him for being a little bit of a mad scientist, as he's called. And I can't blame him for thinking that just believing would get through it, because you have no reason to believe it wouldn't.
Which, one thing that I do like, they explained Mike and his backstory a lot better in this movie than in the first one. Because I was a little confused. Like, I knew he lived with his grandfather, and his grandfather had complaints that this city was cursed. But, like, yes. That's ultimately about it from the first movie. Then the second movie...
and there's talks about that, you know,
there's a fire.
Yeah, and that his parents were in the fire. Like, there's one scene where he talks about it's like, my parents were in the fire, and I was just outside of it. You don't see that until this film. You don't get that like visualization of that scene.
I mean, we see it in the first movie for a little bit, where they're reaching out from like the meat shop,
the butcher. Yeah.
But like,
that's all you really get, and that small conversation he has about his parents, like what happened to him.
Then he explains it. There used to be a catchy way that I could say it. Exposition explains his backstory.
Yes,
and his parents.
That's the thing I'm talking about.
Yeah, and then it made sense, and I was like, oh, and like when they showed the magazine clippings where it said 2 crackheads die in a fire compared to 2 locals die in a tragic accident. Like,
I liked that. That showed that he could move on. And, like, this movie is about being able to move forward from these things. And I feel it does such a fantastic job of that.
Yeah, it does. It really does. It does teach the lessons pretty well, which that's one thing that I have to say that I'm happy for. Not many movies nowadays have a good overarching story. Like, or moral lesson, I should say. Because a lot of the lessons are be yourself nowadays. But, sure. We hear that story all the time. This is this is personal development on like a mental level, and that's not something that we get often.
Not like this, at least.
Yeah.
Not like, especially not over topics that are like, childhood trauma is different than a lot of other trauma, fun fact, because it essentially develops into who you're going to be going forward. And not being able to work past that is going to affect you for the rest of your life. And all of us have certain things that will, from when we were younger, will always have a play on us. I know a lot of my list. But being able to work through that is part of it. And it's human. And it's okay. And that's one of the lessons in the story, is it's okay to go through these things. It's okay to try to not have these be the thing you latch onto. It's okay to move forward. So thank you, It. I didn't expect to get that kind of like...
Oh, what a wholesome message. Which... the part that really got me, oddly enough, is actually when it's dying, when he's melted into the rocks, and they're pulling out his heart, and he's like, "Look at you, you're all grown up now." Yeah,
yeah.
Like that was like a, oh, poor It, I love you. That for me at least, but but you know, because he can't exist without the fear of others, so
without especially the fear of children.
Yeah, so. Without that fear, it just, you know, oh yeah. Yeah. So, like, it was sad for other reasons, but I felt the sadness for Pennywise. I mean, Eddie dies, but so did Pennywise, my favorite part of the movie.
I will say one of my favorite parts of that end is Bill Hader throwing the rock and being like, "Hey, fuckface!"
Dude, no, yeah, exactly.
And having that, like, moment of, like, talking.
No, yeah, that was honestly the part that had me busting up laughing. Because he's triumphant and explaining and, like, just completely dead. And I was the only one who laughed in my theater at that. Because it was physical humor at that point. Because it was just so sudden. And, like,
yes.
it was
But he did it so well.
It wasn't a jump scare. It was a jump comedy, a jump laughter. I don't know. Like, it just suddenly happened, and I was like, oh, God. That's just so opposite of what I was expecting was about to happen. Yeah. So, good
moment.
Good.
Yeah, let's see this film.
Yes. Please, do yourself a favor. Watch this movie. Please.
Yes.
Okay. So, do we just want to... Is it news time?
I think it's news time. We can get through the news pretty quick.
Yeah. There's actually a couple things here. So, we're moving on into the news. So, there's a couple things that we wanted to talk about. I'm going to talk about two things technically, first real fast. And it's, let's see. First one is It Chapter 2 Director's Cut. So... There's a conversation from the director. The theatrical cut is 2 hours and 45 minutes long. He said the original cut that they had made was
3 hours 15.
Yeah, 4-hour movie.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That's longer than Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. He was like, a movie is very different when writing the script and you're building a story compared to what the final product is. At the beginning, when you're writing and building the beats of the story, everything you put in there seems very essential to the story. However, when you get to the final edits and it's 4 hours long, you realize that some of the events and some of the beats can be easily lifted out and make the story intact still. So,
good choice.
Yeah. So apparently,
I would be interested to see what they would add to add another fucking hour and 20 minutes to this film that is already 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Yeah, so somewhere out there at some point in the distant future, we're going to see a 4-hour-long version of It Chapter 2. However, the same director Andy Muschietti, recently spoke to SFX magazine and has said that he is working on a director's cut of both It 1 and 2 put together.
Yes. He wants to, that'd be cool. chasing. But I wonder if he would do it similar to the style of the other one, where the flashbacks kind of are cut in and out.
I think what they had ultimately said. Oops, sorry, I'm on the wrong thing here. But I think what ultimately the idea is they wanted to cut out some of the like rebuilding and the flashback horror of the second movie and just kind of intertwine more of the first movie in there. Like, it would definitely be more of the first movie and less of the second movie, essentially, is what I heard.
Well, I could see that working and not working, because, like, cutting the scenes where they do, like, remember the scenes that were cut from the first film would be a little weird without seeing those scenes, just based off how they're shot.
Mm-hmm.
And you wouldn't want to put those scenes back there if you already show them earlier.
Yeah, I getcha.
That's my only opinion on it, though. So, hey, that was Curvy Llama.
I closed it. All right, that one right there.
No, oh yeah, that's Curvy Llama. Okay. She got to do something really cool at PAX. So
nice. Okay.
Go around and do like you remember the trivia cab thing show?
Oh yeah, like
you got to do that.
She did really at PAX West.
Yeah.
Or East.
Yeah, dude. I wish I would have went there.
Yeah.
Wish I would have gone.
That was last weekend, right?
Yeah, I just didn't get time.
Yeah, understandable. That happens.
For money.
Life adulting happens. Okay. Next news. Your news here. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. So Hawkeye Disney Plus series eyes Haley Steinfeld for lead role.
I'm so down for this. Haley Steinfeld, I fucking love her. I know we've watched a couple films with her, and she played Gwen in Into the Spider-Verse.
Mm-hmm.
And she played, I can't remember her character's name, but she was in Bumblebee. And she was one of my favorite parts of that film. Because that film is way better than people give her credit for, than, you know, the diehard Transformers fans maybe feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it should have done better than it did, but it did not make as much money as the other Transformers films, which makes me think that the studio is going to go back to the old form. I don't want the old form. I want the new form. Anyways.
They're done making Transformers movies, remember? No, Michael Bay's done making Transformers movies. There's a difference.
The problem is that the studio is probably going to be like, hey, Bay, we need your producer credit here because we need to know how to make a good Transformers films. Even though you don't make good Transformers films, the box office says you make good Transformers films.
Absolutely. When things
my opinion is that the reason why Bumblebee didn't do so well is, one, it's called Bumblebee, so it's not going to be as popular.
Yeah, it's not related to Transformers at all.
Shut up. Yes. Okay, fair. And two, Transformers is on a slump. And during slumps, like, even though the last one made a ton of money, people were just kind of done.
Mm-hmm.
And so a slump goes down. And so having a spin-off during a slump, not going to rake in the big bucks. I'm sorry. No, I would love to see... She's probably going to be playing Kate Bishop if she gets the role, which is essentially the younger Hawkeye in the comics. She becomes a founding member of the Young Avengers. She's friends with Casey Lang, Scott Lang's daughter. And... like, they're best friends in the comics. Like, they hang out and all that shit. It's really fucking awesome. And I can't wait.
Mm-hmm. Like, it does look like it'll be a fun time. At least, I'm hoping.
A Decepticon movie... A Decepticon?
I would rather...
That's Decepticon, yeah.
A Decepticon, yeah. It's a Deceptivan movie, okay?
On. It's German.
Yeah, it's Deceptivon, yeah. That wasn't German at all.
Kinda was. Deceptivon.
Deceptivon, yeah. Oh, good, yeah. Hi, Tracing.
What? Love you. But I would love to see her in this role. Like, no joke. I think she, like, as soon as they announced it, I'm like, do it. Fucking do it. She's perfect. So put her in the role, cowards. I dare you.
Okay.
That's how this works, right?
We
can
challenge Hollywood. You challenge Hollywood, and they're like, absolutely.
Not just Hollywood,
Very
Fucking,
specific.
Disney.
Okay.
That'll work, right?
Absolutely. Okay. Well, since we're kind of talking about superhero stuff, I had a thing that I saw, but I wanted to get your opinion on. Have you heard about what Kristen Stewart was told by the MCU?
No.
Apparently, according to what Kristen Stewart has said herself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that she would have been offered a role if she would stop holding hands with her girlfriend in public.
That wasn't by the MCU itself.
Yeah.
That was by someone else, I think.
Yeah, but like that was something I was thinking. Like the way it's titled, it makes it
think that Marvel Studios did it
exactly, and that's something I wanted to bring up. It's like that's very clearly not something Marvel and Disney would do. Like that blatantly honest. Just like that's dumb. So
no, it was probably someone saying it to her, and then like.
And then it was taken out of context and put everywhere all over the media.
Yeah, because she talked about it, and the media likes to spin these things. No, other news, she did say she thinks Robert Pattinson will be a good Batman.
Yeah, but however, other people, as of recently, have been saying that she would make a great gay Captain America.
I can see her being, fine enough, let's put her and Pattinson into the same universe, involving bats, and make her Batwoman.
Okay. Just make her, Catwoman.
No! Batwoman. You know, we're gonna get a different Batwoman, she can play Batwoman.
Alright, fine. Sure, we'll let her play Batwoman.
Yeah, by a publicist. He was told that.
Oh, stupid publicist. Well, yeah. Like, I read that story, and the first thing I thought was, that's just dumb. That's no way what she was told. And maybe that was something she was told from somebody else, but not a direct person who's like, yeah, I work for Marvel as a casting director, and I will hire you if you stop holding hands with your girlfriend. Like, no. So I wanted to bring that up because it was just irritating me that much publicity had been brought up over this. So, there's that.
Yeah.
One other thing, last bit of news that I have, only because, real fast, Downtown Abbey came out recently. I hear it's really good. I haven't watched it. We haven't watched it, but I guess you should watch it, according to a good handful of people. But the thing I wanted to talk about is actually another movie reboot about to be made, and it is Face Off. Paramount is rebooting Face Off. It is going to have the producer from Fast and the Furious. The part that I'm worried about is it's going to have the writer from 22 Jump Street, who recently worked on Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
Stephen Miller? No.
That's the Uziel. Worked with or an Uziel.
Makes me wish we didn't do the Nick Cage week now.
That we did.
We've already done Face Off.
Yeah, so we can't do the old and the new together.
Damn it.
But yeah, the 1997 action thriller Face Off is being remade.
Please be campy. Like, that's my only request. It needs to be campy because that film is campy.
It's done by the same person who did 22 Jump Street and Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, I'm pretty sure it'll be campy.
Oh, God. I actually look forward to this. There needs to be Nick Cage cameos. There needs to be a John Travolta cameo, even though he's crazy. Like, they're both batshit. But, like, please. Oh, God. Yes. God, who would play in it?
Yeah, who's gonna be the crazy sociopath murderer and the self-righteous police officer?
Bill Skarsgård.
Skarsgård's gonna play Cage?
Nick Cage. Okay. Yes.
All right, so then who's gonna be on the other side then?
Who's self-righteous but unhinged?
Maybe Leo?
There, we have our casting.
Leonardo
DiCaprio and Bill Skarsgård. Hollywood, if you're listening, we gave you that one for free. I would watch this in a heartbeat.
Here we God, we're dream casting now.
Because the best part is that would mean Leonardo DiCaprio would have to play a crazy batshit person playing his self-righteous person.
Mm-hmm.
While Bill Skarsgård would have to play his crazy person being played by the self-righteous person who's unhinged.
Mm-hmm. Which, so, just so you know, and the way most people do that, like, they do the scene multiple times, where they have the original actor who's, like, what they did in Harry Potter, they had the actress who played Hermione do the scene like in Harry Potter 7 where she took the polyjuice potion and she becomes Lestrange, whatever. I can't remember names right now for some reason. But whenever they have to switch parts and she has to pretend to be Hermione pretending to be her, what they did is they did the scene once where Hermione went through the scene pretending to be her, and then she pretended to be Hermione pretending to be her. So, and that's probably what they would do here, is they'd have Skarsgård do it once, and then they'd have, theoretically, Leo, depending if they got our cast, do it as the one that they record. So, who knows? Maybe, actually, they could do McAvoy still, because McAvoy works with them a lot, so they could do McAvoy and Skarsgård, and who knows?
Oh, that's actually... That would be good. That's even better than Leo, in my opinion.
Okay.
Because McAvoy is really good at playing that, like, insanity, but he's also played fucking Xavier really well. So, like, I'm in. I'm sold. Let's do this.
There you go. All right. So we have our movies. We've got everything figured out. Is there anything else you want to talk about today, Dev?
Was there something Dr. Sleep you wanted to talk?
Oh. No, I thought about it, but yeah, I wasn't expecting a Dr. Sleep anytime soon, but I'm in a weird place about it because it's both an original to film movie, but still not completely original. So I'm like,
because it's a book?
Yeah. So, like...
Well, I will counter you with this. It's the exact amount of time in between that book coming out and this film coming out as happened when Stephen King wrote The Shining and The Shining movie came out.
Okay.
Like, the exact amount of time has passed between those two. So, in theory, it'll be the exact... Like, they could do a one-for-one almost.
Okay.
With that style. And I'm really hoping there's, like, a touch of Stanley Kubrick's legacy in this film.
Mm-hmm. That's
because
that's gonna be real hard. Like, Stanley Kubrick has a very specific style of shooting, so it's gonna be hard to find someone who could capture his essence, but also put a more modern twist on it.
Well, I want to say it more like there needs to be moments that feel like it could have been in a Kubrick film.
The thing that really got me was hearing that theme, because I love the Shining theme. It's just, every time I hear it, it gives me chills. Be it in The Shining, be it in Dr. Sleep trailer, or in Ready Player One for that instance. Like,
yeah, God. I knew we were going there. They've been setting this up though. What if Ready Player One ties into the Stephen King universe just off of that?
We're going to see H running through somewhere in the background on one of the computer screens. Or we'll see something like that. I don't know. But, yeah. That's all I wanted to talk about, really, for Dr. Sleep. It's just, I'm interested, but conflicted internally.
That's fair. So I guess we're going to talk about next week.
Yeah, I guess we can talk about next week. So next week, if you can't read it, it makes sense. I did a very poor job on the poster of this one, but I'm pretty sure that says that it is Teen Titans week.
Well, it should be DC animated week. Well, it's Batman Hush.
I guess technically.
And Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans.
I had to make it big enough for me to read.
Prediction time. Which one do you think is going to be better?
I'm assuming it's going to be Batman that'll be better. Only because the last thing that we saw with Teen Titans Go made me so pissed off that it was even a movie. Especially because it's stuff I wanted to see in movies for years, but it just didn't pay off the way I wanted it to. Like, it's just... I don't know. So I just have this pent-up aggression towards Teen Titans Go. So I'm just going to assume Batman Hush is better.
Did you ever read Batman Hush, the graphic novel?
No.
I have. And I've heard things through the trees about this.
You are the Lorax.
This is a week in advance warning.
Okay.
There may be a rant next week.
Oh, God, really? Why did you choose these movies?
I chose Batman Hush thinking that it might be enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
From what I've heard, because I've Batman Hush, I'm not the biggest Batman fan. I've talked about it. But Batman Hush is one of my favorite Batman stories. Because it goes over, at that point, goes over a lot of the history of Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And his interactions with his, friends, his universe. And his villains. And from what I heard, it doesn't do that. And I'm kind of... going into it now because I'm I love the Batman Hush story. Mm-hmm. I love the character Hush, but they changed some things apparently, and I'm I don't know how I'm gonna feel about this. I'm gonna watch it and go in with an open heart, open mind, except for that I am gonna have to take the graphic novel with me. You know what I mean? I have to take that with me because that's the source material.
So I'm just gonna assume that next week I'm gonna enjoy the film more than Dev. I'm gonna enjoy it more than you. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Only
and
because
I'll
I've never
probably
read the
enjoy
book.
the shit out of Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans because I love Teen Titans.
I'm interested to see, I'm hoping that we're gonna see Spider-Ham and and Spider-Verse kind of moments where he's fighting the Scorpion and the anvil comes down. That's what I'm assuming is going to happen in this fight because we have the super cartoony Teen Titans versus the not as cartoon Teen Titans. So I want to see how their styles clash and go against each other, but that's the one thing I'm interested. But I'm hoping that the regular, our Teen Titans, the good Titans, something good happens with them.
Fair enough.
What's gonna happen is both versions of the Titans are gonna end up teaming up together to defeat some greater evil that brought them together in the first place. So,
no spoilers.
That's my guess. I have no idea.
I know.
But it's probably what's going to happen because that's every fucking crossover story.
Oh, Steven.
Yeah. All right. Anything else today?
Nope.
All right. Yeah, we're talking about stuff. All right. Dev's command say I should tell you guys that we have a YouTube channel where most of the time I remembered to upload videos on time this last few weeks.
And going forward, I'll be helping with that. So.
Yeah, so is Jay apparently, so that'll be nice. That'll take a load off my plate. Then we have our Twitter where you can hear us tweet out about things, and every once in a while we'll say something snarky on the account, depending on who's in control. Join us on our Discord where, you can hop on in, discuss with us, throw out ideas for things that we can talk about on the show, or just interact with us because, we're cool. We think you're cool. We want to talk. Yeah. Follow, comment, subscribe, ring that bell. All right, all that stuff. Join us next Monday where we talk about Hush and Teen Titans where they're fighting each other. Come to Third Player Optional tomorrow on Tuesdays where Caver J is joined by whoever joins him that week. And they talk about video games and news. Wednesdays, there is... the Hardcore Game Night, where we battle it out to see who's going to be the gaming champion. And last week, it was Blue who walked away the champion. So, he's going down. I'm upset. Last week, I was doing good in the beginning and then just fell apart at the end.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there's Thursdays where we have the Har podcast. I could... See, that's the mood of the Har podcast. At least my mood. where Dev takes control sometimes, and we talk about stuff.
Good night, everybody.
Yep. Good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you guys where they all float to next time.
You'll float too. You'll float too. You'll float too. You'll float too. You'll float too.
You'll float too. You'll float too. You'll float too.